Oh, good evening to you all, and welcome to a slightly less than professional live stream 14. We have started a little bit early tonight, so we can have a good full hour, and I'm just waiting to see if people will now come on and send your questions in. The channel update for May has been recorded. I went with Mr. Jake Bill from the Wells Wheels channel to visit a potential location this afternoon in Hampshire for the Lloyd Vehicle Consulting and Friends social that will be happening on the 24th of July. And yes, it might work well. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm just going to bring up the chat box on the main computer in front of me here so that I can keep up with the questions a bit more easily. So once again, good evening to you all. Don't know why it's not showing a live stream on here. Good evening, Mr. Waters from Scottish Car Enthusiasts and Trains TV. Good evening to you, sir. Let me just see if I can get this going. It's funny, not being able to keep up with my own live stream on a computer, isn't it? Right, there we go. So we just put that on, and yes, I did watch the Furious Driving live stream last night. The only thing about that was I was not available at the time. RM Retro says hello. Watching the live here. Glad to see you have a car back safely. Yes, the Sanyong is back. I have used it. I've driven. How far have I gone? Maybe 60 miles in it today, and it seems okay. That's a good thing. Russell. Oh yes. Good evening to you, sir. Good evening as well. Let me just get the chat box pop out, and then we will be able to do these things a little bit more easily. There we go. Pop out chat. It's exactly what I wanted to have. Brilliant. Okay, Mr. G. Good evening to you as well. And tonight we have some fine Copperberg, which I am enjoying already. We have to have a little something to keep us going. Mr. Davey Waters from Scottish Car Enthusiasts and Trains TV saying I couldn't make Mr. Richardson's live stream last night out of the car meet. Is that the one that you just put on your channel, sir? Mr. Carl Wood, good evening from sunny St Helens. Yes, last time I went up in that particular part, it was very sunny actually when I was up there, which was very nice. So good evening to you as well, sir. Mr. Coleman, the rubbish mechanic, I think will be joining us. I've just been speaking to him about a few things. Dry Boaks, thumbs up. Thank you very much. Please do put your thumbs up as well on the video. That really does make a difference. We do have the super chat feature enabled as well that I know a lot of people actually already use, and that's a really great way of actually, if you want to contribute something to the channel every instant, then you're very welcome to do it. You don't have to. It does obviously a little bit does help. Scottish Car Enthusiasts and Trains TV, Mr. Waters, it was a good night. Yes, I will have a look at that video later, sir, on your channel. Chris Dawson, hello, Chris, the L Series lover. Good evening to you as well, sir. The L Series, yes, a very reliable engine. Mr. Paulie Cortieri, good evening, Mr. Lloyd. Good evening to you as well, sir. I'm hoping that Sir Depeche Mode, our resident channel celebrity, will be joining us as well tonight. He's a funny one. He did his order recently, and he put his name down as Sir Depeche Mode. So I can't give you anything away because I don't even know his real name. Maybe he is actually a spy. Who knows? We'll have to see. Mr. G, I own a different location. I'm just in a different room actually. I'm in the little office that we have here at the house that I might actually at some point start using. My desktop computer that I would like to use for editing has actually not worked for about 2 years. So yeah, I have an editing program that would work on it, and I've tried it on my laptop that I normally edit on, and it would actually speed my editing up massively if I were able to use it. But my former housemate, who is known by the code name of Mr. Lilly, when we're able to have him over here again, which will be in about 3 weeks, I think he'll come and fix it for me, and then I'll be very happy. So there we are. Yes, it's not that different a location, just I'm in a different room in the house. Right, does anybody have any more questions? Or do I just have a nice time drinking some Copperberg? Russell from RM Retro. It's making me try some cider now. I do like some nice cider. I don't know. This isn't Perry, I don't think. It says it's got strawberry and lime in it, which is it's rather nice. One of the strange things about the channel is we started No Budget Reviews about 18 months ago, with no real expectation other than that it was a way of making making actually things a little bit cheaper to do, because Tweed Jacket Reviews, it was the reason why we started the channel. It actually was only going to be Tweed Jacket Reviews, the whole channel. That was only going to be that at the start, because of the amount of money it cost to do it, and the extra sort of equipment and the extra sort of level of professionalism it requires. I mean, I don't film that myself at all. We had to save some money, and that's what we ended up with. No budget reviews, eventually sensible second-hand reviews and sensible second-hand classics. But if I had unlimited money, everything would be Tweed Jacket Reviews. Although some people get them and some people don't. That's just the way that it is. But I think one of the things where we started was the fact that you've got to start a channel where there's the internet saturated with automotive channels. You've got to stand out in a way. So the random things I do in there, they just stand out, and we haven't changed anything because I like it. And Mr. Franks, who helped me start it, does like it too. And we don't make very many of them anymore, just simply due to the cost and the fact that we couldn't film reviews for so long. But we have got some coming up next week that we're doing, and some nice little variety of things. And we will continue in sort of a reduced format for as long as we can. But obviously, sensible second-hand classics, sensible second-hand reviews, and no budget reviews will continue. And no budget reviews in particular, I know, is incredibly popular with all of you, although it's not my personal favourite thing. And I had to teach myself how to edit to do it as well. I taught myself to edit to do that. Which is why the editing's so rubbish, but nobody seems to care, so that's brilliant. Right, let's get on with some of these questions. Dry boats. When do you see yourself buying an electric car? I will actually be borrowing an electric car for a week and be living with that, and be going around various points of the country and seeing how it goes. So, yeah, ask me after I've actually lived with one for a week. Paulie Galtieri, what upcoming car reviews are you most excited for? I can't give too much away as what we're going to be filming, but one of the cars we're filming next week is a really new one. It's not like it came out last week, but it is pretty new, and that will be good. Another one is another MG, a new MG, brilliant. I know all of you seem to love that. Yes, I'm really excited about that. I'm also really excited about a couple of no budget reviews, which are coming up on the channel next week, and they're both quite obscure cars. They're really obscure, and I don't see anyone else who's really reviewed them for 10 years at least. So that should be interesting. It's like when I did the Daewoo Nexia, or 2 Daewoo Nexias. It's that kind of stuff. So yeah, those are the ones that I'm excited about. Mr. Waters from Scottish Car Enthusiast and Traders TV be enjoying reviews this week. A variety of cars, yes. One of them I didn't expect even to be on the channel, to be honest, which was the contingency reviews of the Rexton W. I didn't expect to be doing that, but we did, because the car I was going to film, it's actually still not fixed. I filmed that review a week ago, and the car I was going to film still isn't ready. So we'll have to wait a bit for that. Mr. Andy Armstrong, XR3i or XR3? I think the XR3i, because I prefer the Escort Mark XIV in particular to the XR3, and the XR3i was the only one available in the Mark IV. Russell RM Retro, super no budget reviews, very down to earth and pretentious. That's the beauty of it, it's how he's in real world. Yes, it is, with rattly camera mounts, terrible audio quality, constant poor lighting, and it probably takes me maximum 40 minutes to film any episode of No Budget Reviews, which is the way we like it. Mr. G, what was your favourite car review of late? What was a real surprise I did recently? I really enjoyed that Peugeot 406 Coupe. That was really good. The gearbox, because it was a relatively high mileage one, it took me a bit to get used to. But once I was used to it, it was really good. I really enjoyed driving that. That was really good. It's a shame that my rattly temporary camera mount was on there. I didn't realise it would be so rubbish. That spoiled it a bit, but there we go. Mr. Sean Kirk, 1999 Audi A8, Mercedes-Benz S-Class, 7 Series, or the XJ8. I think probably I would lean towards the Daimler out of all of those, just because I can guarantee myself a nice beige leather interior, and I know I can get a nice dark green one. So there we go. Scottish Car Enthusiasm Trains TV. Thoughts on a sensible second Super Mini for about £2,500. MG3s are starting to come into that sort of money now, but yeah, the one I'd probably go for with that would probably be a third generation Kia Rio, probably, or Hyundai i20. They're basically very similar. The Rio drives a bit better and is nicer styling, I think. But yeah, obviously we've got sensible second-hand reviews on the Kia Rio, although the episode isn't particularly good. That's a good car. Roche Mechanic, Mr. Coleman. Good evening, Mr. Coleman. Mr. Coleman, good evening to you, sir. RMH, at least it won't be a forbidden fuel. Yes, of course, we don't talk about those on this channel, do we? Mr. G, do you know why the sound is so quiet, channel? What are you referring to, Mr. G, specifically with the sound on the channel? I mean, I don't think it's quiet on all the videos. Mr. Armstrong, you think the videos are much more better, they're very watchable. They are when we actually have proper sound and you know, we don't have rattly camera mounts and things. Yeah, you know, the editing is really rough. I mean, Ian Seabrook actually says quite a lot, and he says he doesn't really edit them very much, and I don't think he does. I think he's a bit like me. He kind of, if he's doing the filming himself, and then he makes it so he can edit it relatively easily. And really, if something you can edit easily, it doesn't take a lot of time, means you just get the stuff out a lot quicker, and if you've got a lot of other things to do, it's just a bit easier. But there are some channels who take days and days and days to edit a video. If I want something like that done, I get someone else to do it. That's as simple as that, really. XR3i, good choice. That's what I have. Biased. Yeah, you know, it's a decent car. The only thing I would say, probably it's the same thing when they were new, to be honest, is that you have to make sure you keep it nice and locked up and away from prying eyes, because, you know, people like to take them, which is just such a shame. I think that's a real shame, actually. Okay, do we have any more questions? I don't know where Sir Depeche Mode is. He should be here by now. Right, okay. Mr. Coleman. Oh, this is exclusive. Just had a message. The Alpha 90. You would have seen that on. You would have seen that on my channel last November, actually, and Mr. Richardson's channel and Mr. Coleman's channel. Be ready for the 30th of May. Lots of videos to come. Isn't that brilliant? Paulie out here. We've been bidding towards bidding fuel cars of fuel rapeseed based. I actually recorded a video about this today. I don't actually hate forbidden fuel cars. It's just a joke on the channel we've had since the very first video, in that, you know, the government clearly don't want you to drive one. The ultra low emission zone is pretty stringent, and everyone else is introducing them. The taxes on them are really bad. The sales of them are going down. They just don't want you to drive them. It's a politically sensitive topic, and we made a joke of it in the beginning. And particularly, when I was recording that first episode of Tree Jacket Reviews, the first of a video on the channel, I could not remember the power outputs for the Forbidden Fuel engines in the set Toledo Mark IV. I just couldn't remember them. So in the midst of me kind of going through the petrol ones, I just decided we'd make a joke, because like the video previously, I'd sold my Forbidden Fuel Chevy Cruze because of the terrible depreciation that they had, because the ultra emissions only been announced. It was coming in, I think April 2019 it came in, and I had to get rid of it because the depreciation was so bad. I got something future-proof for driving around in southwest London and North Surrey, which is where I lived at the time. It affected me personally, sort of pretty the professional basis, and other personally too. And if you go to London now, southwest London in particular, near the South Circular, there are a lot of dealerships there which just don't take diesels as trade-ins. I drove the Rexon W with that really torquey engine, 180 horsepower it has, and it just wafted along. It was fantastic. And if you're towing or something like that, or you have a big car, it kind of makes sense to have an engine like that in it. Or if you do really high mileage. But for the majority of drivers in the future, it just won't be suitable because of the legislation, because of the fact that they've got all these particulate filters and things like that in them. And this is my point, is that it's a joke, but there is a kind of serious message behind it, and that those are just becoming something that you have to get out of if you're just going to get on with general motoring for a lot of people. And it's very sad, but kind of, it's sort of getting to the case now where more and more people's lives are being affected. And the recent video that I did talking about the increased numbers of ultra emission zones and clean air zones that are coming, it's just everything's going that way. And so, people go on about it and say, why do you talk about it like that? Why are they forbidden? There's so many reasons that they are, that I don't really want to have to talk to you about it all the time, because I'd much rather talk about something else. But it's a good joke, and it has a nice slogan. There we go. Mr. G, how the sound turn up most of the videos compared to some other YouTube? I don't know. I don't balance the sound or anything like that when I edit. I mean, if you watch possibly Tweed Jacket Reviews, you'll think the sound... If actually Mr. Franks has been editing it, because he's probably the most experienced editor that I have in it. Mr. Richardson didn't start off as an editor and anything like that. He started off as a photographer, so he's very good, but he's not got the same experience as Mr. Franks has. I hope I don't offend anybody by sort of saying that. And he's very, very good, but Mr. Franks is the one who created the format, so he sort of knows a lot more how to just make it look the way that I want it. Mr. Bill is very good, but again, but he's still really learning. He's quite sort of new in his YouTube career. So so the sound on the videos that Mr. Franks has edited, which is quite a few Best Reviews have been done by him, that should be a bit better. In terms of no budget reviews, the audio is rubbish. We don't need a separate microphone. That's for the aesthetic. We don't do it. Unfortunately, with the microphone that I use in Sensible Secondhand Reviews and Sensible Secondhand Classics, the audio is all over the place, because if you drive in the car, it for some reason it goes really quiet. The microphone picks up all kinds of stuff other than your voice. And then if you're walking around the car, it will suddenly jump up and be really clear. Or just sitting there, it'll be a lot better. There's nothing I can do about that. You'll notice a lot of YouTube videos that happens by using the same equipment, and there's not an awful lot else I can do it. Unless you balance all the sound out, which Mr. Franks I know does do, because he's really good at that sort of stuff. So there's not an awful lot more I can say, really. I'm sorry the sound's a bit rubbish. It's not a lot else I can do about that, other than going to editing school, which I don't really have time or money at the moment to do. I'm sorry about that. As package classic Ford reviews would be nice. I will see if we can get some more classic Fords on the channel. It just depends what I get offered a lot of the time. I've made a video about what I get sort of offered, and sometimes You know, I can get stuff easily. Sometimes I can't. I love reviewing old Fords. I think they're great, but it just depends what we can get hold of. Um, Russell RM Retro. Can you vouch for adrenaline forbidden fuel? Get car and just sales working at a main dealer. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of other people who say the same thing as I do. Uh, Mr. Cook, good evening all. Off now with the live stream. Yeah, thank you. So I know you did say you weren't going to be able to make it. That's fine. Mr. Howlett, good evening. Yes. Yes, good evening to you as well, sir. Mr. Armstrong, Carl's is right, but with forbidden fuel, salt is good, steaks is too, veg is bad. I don't quite know what that means, but yeah, it's if we look at the last car sales month that just finished, we will do that in a few days. The forbidden fuel sales which were about 50% of all car sales, probably around 10 years ago. I think they're now less than 10%. So I don't know what else to say. Like, people go on at me saying, oh, you just hate them and you don't talk about them. It's like, well, we're going to be talking about them less and less, unfortunately, in the future. And that's nothing to do with me. That's to do with, scandals and government interference and local government interference and policies. It's just the way that it's gone. Yes, there we go. Right. Any other questions? Preferably those that don't concern forbidden fuel, because I'm getting a bit sick of sort of having to say the same stuff all the time. Richard Howell. Anyone's happened to Twin Cam? I haven't posted much. Yeah, Ed Westby from Twin Cam. He is a student and he has been working a lot on his academic work. Or he has been posting stuff on Instagram as far as I know, working on some Metro videos. But sometimes, and I know this myself, and so does Mr. Coleman. Real life just gets in the way of when you want to make videos, particularly if you've got a full-time job. A lot of people on YouTube have full-time jobs. I was with Mr. Bill this afternoon from Woz Wheels, and he has a full-time job, which is why he only posts up videos once a week. That's just the way that it is. And I think that Mr. Westby's trying to get going again, but he's just had a lot of stuff going on. I think that's all it is, as far as I understand. I like his videos. He puts a lot of work into them. Mr. Coleman, yeah. Mr. Coleman isn't the biggest fan of the forbidden fuel, and he does work on them in his professional life as well all the time. Michael Smith, good evening, sir. How is the Tivoli? The Tivoli is back. It's right underneath where I'm sitting. Actually, it is back and it is fine. I've done 60 miles in that today at least, and it's absolutely fine. Ignis Sport Channel. Oh, brilliant! I love that Suzuki Ignis Sport that I drove on No Budget Reviews last November. It was fantastic. Such a lot of fun. I loved that car. Very, very, very happy to have a friend of a friend offer me that. That was brilliant. So look at if you want to see the Suzuki Ignis on No Budget Reviews, just go and search for it. It'll be there. Paulie Achiri. 40 Sierra Sapphire 2000E review be interesting. Yes, I'd love to do a 2000E and also an Orion 1600E. I'd love to do both of those, but they are really, really rare. These days. But I'd love to do one. Richard, thanks. That's no problem. Mr. Waters from Scottish Car Enthusiasts and Trains TV. What do you think of the Triumph from Idover Classic, Steph's new one, the 1300? That's very interesting, actually. There's one of those in two episodes of Professionals from 1980. One's called You'll Be Alright, and one is called Kickback. And in Kickback, there's a little action sequence with Doyle's Capri Litre S versus the Triumph 1300, actually in what is called now the Business Design Centre in Islington. It's a fantastic little scene, and I do like them. I used to own a Dolomite 300 SE, which was a special edition made in 79 to 80, right at the end of Dolomite production, and I really liked it. I didn't have it very long. It didn't work particularly well, and I didn't really have the sort of fund and space to keep it properly, so I had to get rid of it. 1300 I think is a technically very interesting car, front wheel drive, which was sort of like a rival, I suppose, to the ADO 16s at the time. And her one, they're very rare. It doesn't look too bad, actually, really. They're not actually that expensive to buy either, particularly. It's quite strange. So yeah, I like those cars. I think I think they're nice. I don't know particularly whether hers is like the best example. I think she says it isn't. But yeah, I like that car. I think it's nice. Um, Russell for Iron Retro. Always interested to hear about brand's customer service, helpful enough for dealer. Um, the thing is that I haven't really kind of experienced much sort of main dealer service for quite a long time. The Seat we had before, that went to the main dealer after I bought it once to have a really small warranty job done on it, and so I haven't really experienced a lot of main dealer service. One thing I would say was that I would have loved to have had a courtesy car to cover the time that the Tivoli was away. That was something that I wasn't massively impressed with, but I rang 3 dealers and they were all the same. So maybe that's just the way that it goes. I don't really know. I know with the warranty repair I had done on the Toledo, I booked that a month in advance, and so they were able to give me a car. There wasn't really a problem. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure really. English Sport channel. Yeah, they obscure car. The English Sport was only made for about a year for this country. I think it was 2004 to 5. I might be wrong. It's been a while since I filmed that review. But it's brilliant. I saw one today actually. It's a black one I saw today, and it was brilliant. I just reminded me how much I enjoyed driving that. And gee, how much is a road tax for Tivoli? I think it's the standard post 2017 rate on that. I think it's 140, 145 a year. I can't really remember now. I do it monthly anyway. Mr. Colbridge Mechanic, 60 hours a week per week. Yeah, that's a lot. Difficult to fit in the video, so a lot of filming, especially if you're doing a how-to like mechanic style. Yeah, exactly. Mr. Bill and I were discussing today when we met up how he does repairs on his own fleet himself, but if you're trying to film and do the repair at the same time, it takes a long time. Max Ryder, this is an interesting question. Is it going with the Sanyong, or do you think someone else will buy them as a going concern? They're in court receivership at the moment. I haven't done a video on them for a little bit because there's not really a lot else to say. The process is far from over, and I think what will probably happen, there was a statement made by the CEO of Sanyong UK quite recently, and he has said that actually there's at least 2, if not more, larger firms interested in buying Sanyong, and 2 of them are Korean brands. So I presume that's either Renault Samsung Motors or Kia stroke Hyundai might buy them. And in that case, no problem. They might amalgamate the brand and stuff if that happens, but that's all speculation. Nobody really knows. As far as the UK arm is concerned, the work that I had done on my car was covered under warranty. You can still go in dealership and buy a brand new Sanyong. They just released a facelifted Rexton, for example. Yeah, the Corando XIV electric car should be out later this year. They're still sort of going, and I'm hoping that they will sort everything out quite soon, because it has been a lot of uncertainty about it for a lot of people. Rover Joe, hello Joseph. Good evening, sir. Ignis Sport channel. About 500 on the road left of Ignis Sport. Yeah, it's not a huge amount, is it? Andy Armstrong had a Triumph Toledo, loved it. Toured Scotland, 700 miles in 5 days. Wow, that's quite a lot. Great times. 1978. Yes, my parents had a Toledo, funnily enough, in about 1978. But I can't remember if they had the Vauxhall Viva or a Toledo, which way around they had them, but they had a Toledo and a Viva. I don't remember, the HC Viva. Safety first, Ellis. Oh, good evening, sir. Tom Beresford, good evening to you as well, sir. Right, we've covered quite a lot of stuff, actually, in the first half hour. I don't know, where is Sir Depeche Mode? He said he'd be here. Must have been delayed by some secret work or something. So do we have any more questions? Ooh, that's quite nice. I like that. do like it. Uh, ooh, oh. Safety first. I'm thinking about buying a first generation BMW 116i. Any common issues? If that car, sir, has the Prince engine, I would not buy it. And in fact, we don't talk about that on the channel. I don't actually remember what engine that has in it. The second generation ones have the Prince engine in them, which isn't great. So, yeah. I don't think they do, actually. I think they have a different engine. Let me just have a look on here and see what engine that they have. The N47 engine, definitely don't buy a car with an N47 engine. That's not good. 116i, yeah. Let's just see if the first one had a Prince engine in it. So some of you will know more about this than I will. Let's just see. Here was a BMW engine, or was the code of it a Prince engine? N43 engine. That's not a Prince engine. Okay, I don't know much about it other than that. I'm sure that the other people will be able to enlighten you about that. Mr. Comrade Mechanic, before the cartridge. Yes, I've got a Shambolic Shuffle coming up. Actually, the end of this month, which is the Retro Rides Weekender. I'm actually going to that. I think in one of my channel viewers' cars, which will be fun. You actually probably have seen it on No Budget Reviews. I won't tell you which one it is at the moment, but I think we're going to go in now, which will be a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to them. Russell from Arm Retro, love dark fruit. Copperberg, yes, I do like dark fruit cider. Can vouch for the Prince engine, Russell says. How disaster was it? Oh yeah, we don't actually talk about the Prince engine on this channel anyway. We don't talk about it. Mr. Cole, oh yes, Ignis, safety first. I have a friend with the Mini with Prince engine. Went a bit no thanks. Yeah, don't buy a car with Prince engine. They're absolutely terrible. Don't buy one. Don't do it to yourself. Also, the N47 engine, BMWs, and also Toyotas with call it 1WW and 2WW. Don't do it to yourself. Ignis Sport engines. The Prince engine, the worst ever. Well, I don't think it's the worst ever. That probably is the N47 engine. Is really bad. And Ignis Sport channel, yes, it's in the Mini too. Mr. Coleman, N43, same as N47, so maybe not the best then. Stephen Evans, every chance to do some values. I have done some bad walkarounds actually. I don't know if I can get hold of too many vans at the moment. I might be able to get hold of one that a friend of mine owns. I don't know what else to really say about them other than, Planet Auto do van reviews and they do some very good ones, and I'm not sure what else to say about them that they don't already say. I mean, we can do, but I don't know if that's something that people will be interested in or not. You'll have to obviously tell me if that's the case. Rover, will you be off to BM Today show and Festival Beyond Exceptional? Is yes to both of those. Absolutely. Mr. G, if the Ultra Limited Zone extension goes ahead, a lot of good old cars will be scrapped. You think this is a shame? It is going to go ahead, I'm afraid. There's nothing really that I can say other than that. Yeah, it is a shame in quite a lot of ways, because the value of a lot of these cars is sort of dropping now, and as I've said earlier on today in a video again I'll be speaking about when it goes up on Monday, a lot of places just with anywhere near the N25 within that, they're just not taking on diesel trade-ins, so just don't take them. So that is obviously a bit of an issue, and I think it's a shame. Pre 2006 petrol cars are particularly vulnerable, as well as the pre 2015 forbidden fuel ones are the ones that are mainly affected, and they'll just have a value wiped off the screen prices straight away. And not just in London, places like Birmingham is another one that's coming in next month. Oxford is going to be the most stringent of all. Bristol, I could go on. There's loads. I made a video about it quite recently. Yeah, it is a shame because these cars will just not be useful for people who live in these areas, and there will be more and more of these areas coming all the time, and it's the same in places like Germany too. Adam Thoms, so good evening. Sorry, I'm late. Oh, that's all right, so don't worry. Adam answer. How do you insure the cars you drive? I insure the cars that I drive on the same way that most of you would probably do it. I have an insurance policy that allows me to drive other cars on a third-party basis, and I'm just very careful, and that's the way that it goes. If I get a car from, for example, a press department of a manufacturer, then the insurance is covered on that. If I get a car from an independent or franchise dealer, then I go on their insurance. But for a car that belongs to a private person, I drive it on my own third-party insurance, and I'm quite careful. I think that's the same what Mr. Richardson does from Furious Driving as well. Max Rider, will we ever see these of vans and motorbikes? I have a couple of walkarounds of vans already. Motorbikes, I don't think we'll be doing because I haven't got a license for. I'm licensed to that, but it depends if there's demand. I mean, I can see if my friend, I can do his van. The only thing is it's sign written all over it. I'm not sure he really wants to. He actually wants people to, see his business written all over it. So we're going to have to be careful about that if we do it. But the van he has is really nice. I have driven a couple of those in the past as well, and they are good vans. Mr. Coleman says I've driven 156. Yes, that's booked in for no budget reviews. Mr. Coleman's 156. That's booked in already. No question there. Rover Joe, nice one. I see you there. Nice to have a chat. Yes, I'll be at both of those. I'll be taking a Rover 214. Yes, that sounds very good. As I've said before as well, and if you're watching this back, you would have seen it at the beginning of the video. I talked about it. I have just been having a look today with Mr. Bill from the Wells Wheels channel, and we had a look at a potential social location in Hampshire today. We think it probably is going to be okay for us to have it. So 24th of July, you'll see in a couple of videos now I've put the sign up link for it and also a link to buy some merchandise in them, and I'll continue to put them in the links of some future videos I make. Paulie, is it Galtieri? I'm very, very bad at pronunciation of some languages. What do you think of the Prince Philip Land Rover TD5 130 Hz? We can't talk about the engine in that, but the bespoke design I think was really good. I think it's a nice colour. I think he was designing that for something like 15 years. I think it's quite impressive, really. Alice from Safety First says, I think the solution here is not to live in a city. Yes, that's one way of getting around all these clean air nocturnal emission zones. Davey from Scottish Car Enthusiasm Trains TV, say goodbye. Got a little one, go to bed, catch you later. Good night then, sir. No problem. Mr. Coleman, first one exceptional, and the cars qualify. Yes. Probably the Alpha 90 and the Granada, no question, would qualify for that. Absolutely no question. It is the same weekend as Silverstone Classics though, but I think if you go to Silverstone Classics on the Sunday, you can go to Festival Exceptional on the Saturday, so it's not so bad. John Edwards, yeah, this is what I've been saying. It's such a shame the government advised and made it financially beneficial to buy forbidden fuel. Absolutely, that was really the case sort of 7 to 10 years ago. Advised and made it financially beneficial to buy forbidden fuel to vehicles modified. Absolutely, so the big U-turn. Safety first. Festival exceptional cars that certainly qualify. Yes, if one of your cars, in particular, the older one, Alice, would be definitely festival and exceptional worthy. Annie Armstrong, thanks. Enjoyed. Say well. Watch later. That's fine, sir. No problem. Scottish Enthusiast Trades TV. Mr. Dave Waters. We're going to approve the statement chat. Hopefully, you'll be enjoying yourself on the chat still. Where is Sir Depeche Mode? Where are you? Where are you, sir? We'll have to wait for you to come on, I think, because you did say you were coming. Alan Thoms, unfortunately, Ultra Liberty Zone is here to stay. I live near Bath and Bristol. Yeah, Bath was sort of the second place in the country to have one. It doesn't affect private cars at the moment. It's only taxis and some other vehicles. But I won't be surprised if they change that really soon. In Bristol, yeah, they postponed it, but it's Yeah, it's coming. I've replaced my 308 with Forbidden Fuel with a 17-plate Mariba B. Yeah, that's the last year of Mariba before they replaced it with the, I think it was called the Crossland X. That's just basically I think a stretch Corsa platform on that. They're fascinating cars. They're not very expensive either. You can buy an earlier one, decent condition, for about £2,000. So they're not like no budget reviews, but they're sort of heading in that direction at the moment. And I think those are really good value. They've only got chain cam engines. I think they were. There's only really one engine to consider because they've got forbidden fuel engines apart from the 1.4s. So I think the engine those are okay. It's a chain cam. I think it's a Family Zero engine. Sometimes in very old ones the cam chain does go a bit funny, but overall they're not too bad. One thing I don't like about them is the electronic handbrakes. I don't like electronic handbrakes, as you know, and Mr. Coleman I know doesn't like them either. So that would be one of my concerns. And we have Planet Auto on the channel with us. Good evening to both of you. I don't know if that's Mr. or Mrs. Quirk, one of the two. Anjin-san, if you had £1,000 and wanted to buy a car that to drive a Timbuktu literally without breaking down, which car would you choose? Probably something with a Honda D series engine in it. So that would be Rover R8. They had those in them. Honda Civic 5-door, the Swindon Civic. Those had that in. Yeah, probably something with that engine in them. To be honest, they're very reliable engines. Hopefully the camber have been done in it first. Safety first, take Suzuki Wagon R Plus, no question, invincible vehicle. Yes, I know you had one of those, didn't you, sir? Mr. Bill from Wells Wheels. Good evening, all. Good evening to you, Mr. Bill. And Mr. Coleman Roach Mechanic already said good evening to Mr. Bill as well. Excellent work, Mr. Bill. Right, do we have any more questions? For the 28 of you are on tonight. That's good. That's nice at Kuppenberg. No more questions. Or is there just a delay on from there? We have a load of questions that have just turned up. Alice from Safety First says, if you could drive one pre-1990 vehicle for the rest of your life, what it would be? A very early Rover R8, because those came out in 1989. So yeah, one of those. Probably a GSI, because that has a seat height adjuster in it, and you can get the leather seats and alloy wheels, and some even have air conditioning and ABS. Mr. Coleman, just open some cream sherry. Yes, we might have some cream sherry on a future live stream. Ignis Sport channel. Whose business is thriving despite of lockdown? I watched a video today about some used car dealers are doing really well because some new cars are in really short supply. So possibly some of the prices are increasing. Yeah, maybe some of that. I don't know if it's the case in this country. It was in America, so I don't know. The sourcing cars isn't been particularly thriving because of lockdown. Not really. I imagine not many other people's businesses are either. RM Retro Russell having a little Renault 5 1.1 car effectively soon. Never one before '89. One from the iDriver Classic channel that Steph drove. You're looking forward to it. Yes, I remember seeing that. That's interesting. Yeah, the one I drove was a later one. It was a '94 with a 1.4 engine with a catalytic converter. It's a little bit more powerful and slightly less basic, but not really. Good evening. Also, hello. Time for a hoon in the EP3 Type R. Enjoy my beverage. Enjoy your VTEC. Very good, Mr. Quirk. Very good. Ignis Sport channel coming out of lockdown. Yes, certainly with businesses like, I don't know, hotels, pubs, things like that. A lot of pent-up demand for things like that. And certainly certain certain I think automotive industry is doing well. Scottish Car 3 Trace TV, Mr. David Waters. Thought about Mariva. I think you can pick them up by £2,000. Yes, you can. I checked the other day actually. Might have actually a list of cars possibly handing back our Fabia soon. Yeah, you know, it's definitely an option they depreciate like no one's business. Marivas. John Edwards, after the Tesla Challenge, I've only seen a handful of Toledos and no excellence models. That's strange. Maybe there's lots of them, but just people don't want to hand them back. They should ownership reviews. They sneak by as being inconspicuous and anonymous. Yeah, they definitely are. And you know, people who own Toledos, that's maybe what they like. They like to be, you know, under the radar, particularly in a nice kind of smart colour and, you know, some slightly tinted rear windows that the Excellences have and the larger wheels. John Edwards, yeah, they are a great value amusement market. They certainly are, but certainly in comparison with most other cars, don't have as much space in them. Ignis Sport Channel. Track Day seems to be booked up for months. Top end classic cars seem strong. Yeah, a lot of classic cars have gone up a lot in value. The one car that I have seen, excuse me, excuse me. The one car that I've seen go up a lot is, since I drove the EG4 Honda Civic and no budget reviews about 6 months ago, those have massively gone up in value. People keep asking me, where can I find one of those for £1,000? And I did find one for £1,000 about the time that I filmed that, but I haven't seen another one. So maybe those are one to keep track of. Mr. Coleman, to go another track day. Mr. Coleman's told me about his former track days. I won't say any more other than that I think he had a very nice time the last time he went. A very, very nice time indeed. I went on a track day, which is actually on the channel in 2018. I drove two cars, a 2008 Subaru Impreza WRX STI and a about 2009 Mitsubishi Evolution 10. And the Evolution 10 was absolutely and utterly fantastic. It was brilliant. I love driving the Evo 10. Subaru had 6 gears rather than 5. That was the main difference in driving them. And also the Subaru rolled a lot more in corners. The Evo 10 was a lovely chassis. So I'd love to do some track days too as well. Mr. John Edwards, I understand the early Marivas, that'd be the Mariva A, which is based on the Corsa C, suffered power steering failures, which seem to be rectified in the new body shape. Yeah, I've not heard of any power steering failures on the Mariva Bs. Not at all. Mr. Bill from Wales, you get to do a track day. Plenty of parade laps done so far. Yes, I know you've done a few, haven't you? You've done one on your channel, haven't you? Right, for Joe, I've noticed examples of 25s have gone up massively. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of difference between a really knackered old like R3200 or 25 and a really nice one. There's a huge gap in between the two. Same thing with some 45s actually. Where's Feckish? Birmingham Clean Airs when it starts 1st June. Out, yep. Every time we enter the inner ring road, I forget the A number for that, but yeah, inner ring road or A38 tunnels. Yeah, good job, Euro 6. Yes, Euro 6 compliant is the best, or Euro 4 for petrols. Mr. Colburn, oh, the Mark 1 Ford Focus. Yes, I'll tell the story. Mr. Coleman had a Ford Focus saloon. I think it was the 1.8 LX from what I remember. It was an early one, like an S-plate, black. It done very high mileage, and a family member of a friend was actually just getting rid of it. She just said that he could have it along with a friend, and they prepared it for track by just lightening the weight of it by taking out some of the interior. So standard 1.8 Z-Tech in it, standard gearbox. I think they put slightly wider tyres on it, and that's it. And it went around the track with considerable skill because Mr. Coleman and his friend are very skilled drivers, and they were overtaking things like Ford Focus RSs and things like that in this 1.8 Focus saloon with like 300,000 miles on the clock. They handle very well actually, the Focuses, and if you've got a very skilled driver behind the wheel, you can do some seriously quick lap times, even if you don't have a lot of power. I think it was like 115, 120 horsepower, 1.8 Z-Tech and a Mark 1 Focus. Yeah, pretty crazy. John Edwards, what are the most ridiculously proportioned cars you know of? The Atos and the Amica are ridiculously tall, narrow with tiny wheels. I think possibly the Mark One Suzuki Wagon R Plus looks a bit like that, or the Daihatsu Move, sort of similar type of thing. Which is how never done a track day, must do so. I want to do another track day. I'd love to go back to that place I went to and drive some more of the cars I had there, because I know I'm not going to ruin my car. So yeah, that's obviously that's what we do. Santa Pod Challenge. We take the car to a track and we have some fun in our sub £500 cars, which is obviously something I recommend too. Pulling out here, we wear a tweed jacket at Suitable Country right here for a Range Rover Classic Vogue SE review. The thing about a Classic Vogue SE is that they're worth a lot of money now, if they haven't got holes in the chassis and things. So it would have to be tweed jacket reviews because we're well above £5,000 on one of those. So it would be tweed jacket review. Scottish Car Enthusiast Trades TV, Mr. Waters, Mark's Enthusiast seems to be going up a lot in price. I was looking at one nearly £4,000 for one of the last. So that'd be, I think they stopped production in 2000, although there's one local to where I live on a Y plate, which would be 2001. So I think they turned over the factory in, was it Halewood, to producing Jaguars after that, I think. The X-Type was what they put in. Mr. Tom, not done a track day. I think enjoyed taking out a Honda S2000. Oh, yes. Very nice. Very, very nice. Mr. Bell, I was tempted last night to Castle Coombe for Halloween Action 2020. Track was too slippy because of Storm Maiden and didn't fancy stuffing only working car into Quarry Corner. That's a very sensible thing to do, Mr. Bell, not stuffing into Quarry Corner. Mr. David Waters, the Scottish Car Enthusiast and Trains TV. I did track day in a Ceed Sport wagon many, many years ago. Actually, a chassis on a Kia Ceed is honestly pretty good. Honestly, not bad. Yeah, it'd be a laugh. Lake House, Charlie, did you enjoy the 406 Coupe? Oh, yes, sir. I loved that 406 Coupe. It was fantastic. Thank you for putting me in touch with Justin Dialdiba. I've got some more reviews of Justin's collection coming up, I think. Rubbish Mechanic. Scrap Mark 6S Score RS2000 for track days. Yes, I remember that. And the Focus had to be scrapped after the track day 2 years ago. Yeah, a lot of fun though. John Robbo, we used to have a Mark 1 Focus in the Motorside Police, and they were amazingly forgiving when they were pushed. Yeah, I have driven a Mark 1 Focus, but not for quite a long time. And they were good around cars and hang around. Yeah, that's one thing I'd like to have on no budget reviews, whilst they're actually still no budget reviews worthy, which I don't think will be too long because they're an old Ford. A Mark 1 Focus, possibly a 1.6 Z-Tech. That would be pretty good. I would have enjoyed doing that. I just haven't been offered one of those, actually, strangely. You can still buy them, though. I did see one, I think, for about £1,000 quite recently, a 1.6 gear manual. It wasn't too far from here. So, yeah, definitely no budget reviews worthy at the moment, but disappearing in numbers all the time. Mr. Coleman, I think, used to work an awful lot of those as well, particularly the 1.6s. Right, so we've been going about 53 minutes so far. But we will be coming to a close relatively soon. Does anyone else have any questions that they would like to ask? Mr. Alan Toms, I had a 1.8 Z-Tech Mark 1 Focus. It was great, but very rotten. Yeah, that was one problem with them. They like to rot. They did very much like to rot. And I think the gear linkages on them weren't particularly good. Mr. Coleman would correct me if I'm wrong about that. I'm not sure they were great. Scottish Car Enthusiast, Trends TV, Mr. David Waters, Richard Parry Jones, thank you for the correction. Made the Focus, Puma, and Fiesta late 90s for driving cars. Yeah, anything with Mark 4 Fiesta chassis in it, which would be the Mark 1 car, the Puma as well, and then the Mark 5 Fiesta as well. Brilliant driving cars. I've driven Mark 5 Fiesta with 1.25 Z-Tech engine. That was really, really good. I have driven a Mark 1 Cat. It was a really late one. It was a 2007. And unlike most of them, the fuel filler cap didn't have rust all around it. I actually drove really well. I could just about fit in the Mark 1 car in terms of my height, because anybody over about 6'1" struggles to get in them things. But yeah, those aren't bad apart from the horrific rot problems on them. Mr. Coleman, I've just had a friend drive past his Astra G 2.2 Elegant Saloon. Oh, sir, that sounds rather nice. I'll have to get an Astra G on No Budget Reviews, and hopefully it's one of something like that rather than a sort of poverty spec one like that Vectra was. Russell from RM Retro, mind you, looking at Mark 1 Focus at launch, they thought modern and garish. Time change, I think very thing of beauty design classic. If you get a nice kind of like a, I don't know, a gear or something like that, particularly for me, I love the saloon version of the Mark 1 Focus. I think that's a very nice car. That can be absolutely tasty. Mr. Andy G. Mark 1 Focus 1.6, bit slow up hills, even 99 brake horsepower 1.6. The EcoBoom 1.6, 1 litre is faster unless it blows up. Yes, we will not go into that tonight, Mr. G. We'll remember this on the past instead. Yes, Mr. Coleman says the Astra G is black with a beige leather interior. I do like a nice beige leather interior, as most of you know. Mr. Adam Toms, Astra G biscuit cloth. Yeah, well, we've done one better. We've got the beige leather interior, so there we are. John Edwards, what's straight from 6'3" frame into a W Reg Ford car rock box would be with the good old Kent engine 2. Was great apart from my knees with the crumple zones. Yeah, don't crash. That's obviously an advantage, isn't it? Don't crash your Mark 1 car. Mr. Howlett need to go. Good evening. That's absolutely fine, sir. We'll be finishing up pretty soon. I think we've been on here for 56 minutes, so I think we'll probably come to an end now anyway. Just one thing here. Russell from Arm Retro. I had a gold Mark 1 Focus Gear Saloon 2 litre automatic with beige velour. That sounds very nice. All it needs is a leather interior and maybe dark blue, and then it'll be perfect, wouldn't it? Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed for being on the live stream this evening. Where Sir Depeche Mode has gone, I don't know. I don't know where he is. It's a bit of a shame. Yeah, there we go. Never mind. Mark 6 Fiesta. Rob Hoyle 1. I just got a 53 plate Fiesta 1.4 Z-Tech for £700. Yes, you can pick those up really cheaply. Fantastic car. I really like the Mark 6 I drove on No Budget Reviews. A £200 car. 53 plate, what for Fiesta, £700. Handling is really good. You have a handle of drive really well. Sweet gearbox, lovely steering. 12 months MOT as well. And on that note, yes, sensible second-hand car buying advice. Thank you very much indeed once again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and if you look on the videos from the last couple we've done talking about the social event, then there'll be links to sign up that, and also to buy some nice channel merchandise. Social media links are around as well. Thank you very much again to everyone, and the next video will be going up on Monday.